Right now you have a basic understanding of how to use cascading style sheets, how to use various selectors to try to take the rules that you establish in the style sheet and apply them to content on the page. Now we're going to move on and talk about how you would scale this, how you'd make it work on a larger website. While it seemed to work very well on a single page, you got to remember that all of this information that we accumulated about how the page was going to be rendered, about the rules we were going to apply, was included in the page. That's fine if you have a one-page website, but most websites are made of multiple pages. And in fact, there's a lot of websites that have thousands or tens of thousands of pages. One of the powerful pieces of style sheets is that you can replace a rule and have it apply in multiple locations. Well, can you imagine how difficult it would be to leverage that if you had to change every single page on a site that has 10, 100, 1,000, or even 10,000 pages? Well, that's why we often like to take the code for the CSS out of the main web page. No longer embed the CSS code, the cascading style sheet, but create it as a separate file. One file that can actually power multiple pages across your site. On page 60 of your textbook, the first thing they ask you to do as you go through this exercise is to remove all of the content between the style on tag and the style off tag. And they actually say to cut it. And we're going to do that with intention here. We're going to select all of the content between the style on and the style off tag, and we're going to cut it. I'm going to cut it by using the Control X key on the Windows keyboard. If you're using a Mac or some other operating system, you'll have to do it some other way, but we're going to cut this out. I'm going to do that right now. And notice that all the style information is gone. The good news is it's all been saved to our clipboard, and we're going to refer back to that in just a moment. I'm going to save this file. And then I'm going to open a new file. In this new file, we're going to start with the directions on step number 2. And we're going to put a slash asterisk. And then we are going to enter Lakeland Reads Bed and Breakfast. And then we'll put an asterisk slash after that. Now the asterisk slash followed by some string of text, and then an asterisk, another asterisk slash, is a comment field. What it means is between these two tags, everything will be ignored by the actual CSS file that we're creating. It's just there for your own notation, so you can refer back to it. Keep in mind, though, that anything you put in these files could be revealed to the public, so you don't want to put anything sensitive or secretive in there. The next step on 3 asks that you put your name in a comment field. And I'll do that right here, Christopher Van Oosterhout. And then I'll follow that by the notation HTML5 Unit C as specified again in step number 3. Then I'll put a closing comment tag. Keep in mind these comment tags do not have any real function to the cascading style sheet file. They simply are saying, here is some commented information that you may want to refer back to later. The next thing you're asked to do in step number 3 is paste the information that you took out of your HTML file that you cut out. I'm going to do that by hitting Control V on my keyboard, and it pastes it right into my document. It should look very familiar to you. It's exactly as it appeared in the HTML document, but now it's in the standalone file. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to save this in the same directory where you've been saving the file you've been working on, the index.html file. I'm going to use Save As, and I'm going to try to get to that file location here. And again, I'm going to want to save this as an all files instead of as a text file like Notepad wants us to. And we're going to name this file Lakeland.css. A little different than what we've been saving as. We've been saving as a .html. This is not a .html file, it's a .css file, a cascading style sheet file. So we'll save that now. Next, we're going to go back to your original file, your HTML file. Open that now. Now recall, we don't have any style information in this file right now. In fact, if we go back to the page that displayed that file and I reload it now, because remember we saved it, all the style information should be gone. The box, the formatting, the centering is all gone because we've removed it from the file. Now we have to take steps to get the file from the information from the new file we've created into your HTML code. Your book says to delete this line, the blank line, and then the closing style tag. So we're going to do that now. We end up with just a blank line, and we're going to type the following as shown on step 9. And build a tag called link, rel equals spreadsheet, style sheet, type text slash CSS, few things you should notice here. One, we have a style sheet reference. We give some type information, and we have an href. This stands for hypertext reference. And we're saying that the style sheet is going to be found in another file called Lakeland CSS, which makes a lot of sense because that's where we just stored our file. Notice there's a slash at the end of this tag because it's a self-closing tag. Unlike things like the head, where there's an opening tag and a closing tag, this one behaves much more like a BR. Remember, we've seen that tag in a past assignment, a line break tag, where there is not a starting and a closing tag, it's just one tag with a slash at the end of the tag. So we're going to go ahead and save this document, and now we're going to look at the browser again. Before I do, I want to look at this document one more time. Notice how there's no style information directly in the document. There's just a note telling the file where to find the style information. Okay, so it's one file saying if you want style information, go look in another file. Now when I reload this page, all of a sudden all the style information is going to appear again.